Hey guys, J77 here doing another What's News. Been a while, but I want to jump right into it. But before I get to the topics that I want to talk about, I have to talk about this Obamacare, and I have to talk about pretty much the site and how this has become a colossal disaster for the entire Obama administration. Now, before I go on here, I am pretty much in the middle with this whole, Affordable Care Act. I wanted to work, for simple fact is it's been too long. There are a lot of people who even working hard, working even two jobs, can't even afford something like medical insurance. And there's a lot of people out there who can't afford medical insurance. And while the big top dogs who is making these decisions are pretty much having the best insurance they can possibly that money has to offer. A lot of people have their arguments, have their mixed feelings on this, and I hear both sides, and I hear their concern and issues on the matter of this Affordable Care Act. And look, some of them are legitimate arguments. But in my feeling is that there should not be a reason why a hardworking family or any American should go without proper health coverage for any reason whatsoever. With that being said, this whole debacle with the site, the terms of navigation, terms of kicking people off their own medical coverage, from even the fact is they can't even sign up because of all the bugs and glitches and messed up pages, is simply inexcusable, especially for a .gov site. It is mind-boggling how this had become the main page of conversation, to the point where the president has to apologize for what's going on with this website. And let me first go on in here that you don't necessarily need to log into a website to get Obamacare, because there are all places where you can go and sign up. My job particularly have actually posted all forms and information on how to actually attain an optional Care Act if you choose to. Something that a lot of people have been considering, and some people have been looking forward to do, because the medical coverage they got now, I believe it's Aflac, it's really not a cheap coverage, especially if you have a big group of family members, where it can actually cost a bus driver who works in the company, or a ticket agent, pretty much almost all the entire paycheck. So it is something of a big issue, where if they will be under the Affordable Care Act, it is actually 70% less. So that's the good advantage of having that. At the same time, what the hell's wrong with this site? To the point where it may actually be shut down permanently. And that is not a good sign for anyone in the Obama administration, or even for the Democrats for that matter, in terms of what's happening with the site. First of all, let me go on and say this is something, and in my opinion, that I've been noticing a lot more, especially with this situation when it comes to this administration, as well as this what has happened with this website that's supposed to be easy to navigate. About a few weeks ago, a lot of stuff was coming out in the airwaves saying that there was no communication, that the test was not done correctly, that it was more needed. Obama not being aware of all these problems. Now, one may say that this is the insurance company's fault. They're trying to sabotage the Affordable Care Act any way possible. Their made their pages so difficult that it's impossible to navigate. I'm not really buying into that, for the simple fact is this was 4 years in the making. He had more than ample time to fix whatever it needs to be done, to make sure everything was prepared, make sure everything is on board. This is something not just with the Affordable Care Act, just his administration altogether. When it comes to situations like this, when it comes to even a situation with the NSA, and that's a whole different topic by itself, the president administration This is this way. The president and administration doesn't seem to be working on the same page. They're so disconnected towards each other that it's becoming pretty much a nuisance. It's becoming annoying, and it's really angering me a lot that this is the president of the United States and is not aware of the things that's going on. Underneath him, right in front of his eyes even, and that is becoming an annoying problem. Certain things should have been looked through, certain information should have been tested, and if it means prolonging the website launch for a few more weeks just to make sure it actually works properly, it should have been done. All right, hearing that it may take longer than expected, it's more buggy than expected, this pretty much said that they had done a rush job and just throw something out there and hope for the best. This is a site. It's not a .com site. This is not a .org site. This is a .gov site, a government-run site. And a government-run site should have no excuses to having this kind of mess. Yeah, there are all .gov sites that are not perfect. Believe me, New York have a couple of them. Well, at least they're still navigatable. You can still navigate to place the page, and there is also a telephone number you can actually call to, pretty much get in touch with somebody in case whatever you're looking for is not on the page that you think it should be. So to hear this kind of stuff, to hear this kind of incident going on, it really is bothersome. And right now, the Republicans is picking apart it one by one. They're using this as an anchor to hope rejuvenate their low popularity. And look, to me personally, the Republicans, if they're gonna focus on the website, they really got nothing else better on their plate. They really don't. But with that being said, there is no excuse for having the site the way it is. There is no excuse for having such poor management and poor people behind what should have been a smooth, easy transition for people to understand what the program is, what they're covered, what's not covered, how to register and be and apply. None of this stuff should be going on, and none of this should be going on almost a month now since the launch of the site. And here's the strange, sad part about it: there's reports right now that this site may be shut down for good because of all the problems that it's facing. And if that's the case, that's a horrendous blow against the Obama administration, because that alone says that they really didn't keep their eye on the ball, especially something that is his signature move. This is his. This is his baby. And the fact is that he wasn't aware of what was going on and how unprepared the site is. It's going to look bad on him regardless. No ends about it. And he deserved the criticism for that, because to me, again, it's just a constant thing that nags me about him is he's not in tune of what's going on within his own administration. He's not in tune with what's going on with the NSA. That's pretty much obvious when John Kerry had made his comments about the NSA running on speed down. That's a whole different story. I will definitely get to that, but that's a separate video. I have to do it as a separate video. But this is something that's been awesome. This is the President of the United States. He needs to know what's going on, especially something that he had a big play in. To know what's happening all the time. He should have been on this, especially for a few days after launch day. Say, okay, is this site ready? If it's not ready, let me know now. I push it back. I give you more time to fix whatever it is that's going through. A .gov site having these problems is unacceptable, unbelievable, and yeah, he deserves every criticism he gets. Now, is it the end of Obamacare as we speak? No, you don't have to just go online. There are agencies you can go to, get information, especially public service agencies. So there are other options. Even some places, some workplaces have offered to give a list of things involving the Affordable Care Act. So there are other revenues, but the one revenue that should never have been a problem is the one thing that everybody seems to be focused on. And this really is, it's a terrible job on the president's part, as well as everyone who was supposed to be in charge of making sure that this site was ready. 4 years and we're having this problem. It's just simply, he needs to start really evaluating some of these guys he have there and possibly replacing them if they're going to start acting like this. It's really no excuse for that at all. You guys may disagree. You guys may think I'm blowing it up, but the point is I'm looking at it from a realistic standpoint. This was signed 4 years ago. He should have had plenty information prepared for this. You should have test after test after test to make sure there was nothing wrong with this site. And the fact is, he just basically threw it out there without bothering testing it. Just tells me that how much he's really just not aware of what's going on within his staff or what's going on within the government that he's supposed to be running, and that's not a good sign. That is not something you want the people of the United States to look at when it comes to something small like this. Because if you can't handle a small task like making sure the website is running, people are going to say, well, how can we actually trust him to run more bigger, more difficult tasks down the road? In fact, that is the reason why he's getting criticized by the NSA. Jim Carrey pretty much shot him right in the gut when he said that we was not aware of what was going on with the NSA. They was running on autopilot. Why were they running on autopilot? Nobody's supervising these people. Come on now, I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll let you guys comment. I'd love to hear your opinion on the matter. Now let's get on to the stories that I want to talk about. Stories that I actually wanted to talk about. Must stick with New York first because this is something I'm a very important day is going to happen. That is happening right now. See, I'm speaking. The World Trade Center, the first tower, is finally open after 12 years. The first World Trade Center has made its grand opening debut. This story comes to us by related stories by Hillary Riss. She is one of the writers for Rutgers. I'll leave a link below. But this is something that New York has been waiting for. The first office tower of Ground Zero since September 11, 2001. Attacks that destroyed the World Trade Center will open on Wednesday, marking a comeback to the Lower Manhattan site. Shattered in glass, 4. World Trade Center is the smallest of the 4 main towers on the site, where 2,700 people have died when high-deck plane crashed into the tower. It stands 977 feet tall, the shortest, simpler version of the World Trade Center, which will not be complete until too early in 2014. The 74-story building stands empty at the moment, although the 2 government agencies have signed leases of half of the building spaces. Both the Port Authority in New York, New Jersey, which owns the site, and the City of New York's Committee for Space years ago to help jumpstart the rebuilding effort. Since the attack, disagreements among the New York City, the state and federal government, developers, insurers, victims, families, and others have slowed construction on the 16-acre site. Developers Larry Silverstein, who had a lease to the site when it was attacked in 2001, has played a key role in shaping the project design and security and cost. The article goes on to say that the World Trade Center is recognized that we're moved from 12 years of controversy and construction to having a real place that is coming back to life as part of New York City. Jano Lember, who oversees planning, design, and rebuilding for Silverstein Properties. The World Trade Center, at least the Freedom Tower, a lot of people are saying, is something that has been in controversy for a while, and still is in the controversy because the people who wanted to lease there or build close to there. We had a Muslim church that wanted to go there. That there was a big issue about that they didn't want that there. Many people felt it was a mockery. Those people who died there, a lot of people felt that there was no big deal. We had what was going to be more real estate in terms of corporate businesses, to what was supposed to be a memorial to pay respect to those who have perished uh, when the attack has happened. So there was a lot of stuff that was going on here. Make no mistake about it. I'm happy to see finally that things are starting to come back in that area. They still got a long way to go. They still got a lot of phases they gotta do. So it probably will be a good 4 or 5 more years before we finally um, see that area, which is the World Trade area, come back to full capacity. It may take even longer than that. It all depends on who is willing to open up shop there. Keep in mind, there's still a bit of I don't know if I should move down there because of what happened, and you can't really you can't really blame the people who's looking for space and want to lease there. That's still that image of seeing those 2 planes hit the tower is still burning a lot of people's minds in New York. It's still burning minds. I watched it on television, and seeing those towers collapse was like a big. It just it shook me to the core. It shook New York to the core. New York was never the same after that, and seeing these towers is very very it's amazing. It is. It's amazing how they was able to bounce back the way it was from, especially from a devastating attack that we went through. The United States went through a devastating attack, but for New York, it was really a shot in the heart. To the point where many people didn't think we could actually come back at all. Many people thought that would lead to our downfall, both economically and pretty much spiritually. Let New York hang in there, and we're not only back, but we're pretty much better than ever, proving that we can overcome a lot of odds. As for the controversy itself, you're going to continue having that. There's no question about it. There's always going to be that they should have never have put office buildings here to actually having it entirely just being on a memorial. And I knew New York was not going to do that. I knew that it was not going to just make it into a memorial. But that's something that eventually they came to some kind of compromise. But keep in mind, as they continue building, it's always going to raise a red flag for those who wish that they should not have made it into a area where corporate offices and corporate businesses run there. It's something here. Let me read this only here for you guys, and then I'll leave it at that. On Monday, a council of urban designers decided the One World Trade Center, which is being built on Douglas Dust, and the Port Authority would be the tallest building in the United States. They vote to count its spare and the total height of the building, which will reach 1,776 feet. A number chosen for the year the U.S. Declaration of Independence was signed. A spire on the original Twin Tower reaches 1,727 feet, and the Empire State Building antenna spire reaches 1,454 feet. So that one building, because of that antenna, is definitely going to make it the tallest building. It's actually kind of amazing. So it's actually going to be bigger than the original. So that's something that keep that in mind. Also, I want to read this here. A 9/11 museum is expected to open at the site in the next year. The transportation hub designed for Spanish is scheduled to open in 2015. The site will include 2 more office towers and there's some 550,000 square feet of retail space. Most famous for this, Archie Frank, I don't know this guy's last name, I'm not even going to try. Most famous for designing and contemporary, he's pretty much a designer for the Guggenheim Museum, let's put it that way. In Spanish, has planned to perform an art center, a performing arts center for the building. I will leave a link below so you guys can read the article in entirety. I did some editing on my part, but yeah, this is something that is big. It's slowly coming in. As for the 9/11 Museum, you can actually still go there, but it's on a restricted time. They actually are doing tours for it. So if you know the schedule or go online, you can actually find the schedule that they do. They do have tours there. I believe it's $25 for the tour, but they do two tours. You don't have to necessarily wait a year to actually go to tours. There are some areas that are not ready, but there are other things they aren't doing the tours for. So if you guys are in the New York area, you can check it out yourself. Yeah, this is something that's big, and this is definitely something that uh, that a lot of people from all across the country has been asking for, has been wanting to know what's the status of. And right now, I think this report pretty much says it all. The World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan, inside the financial district, is coming back. And this is just the beginning. Where do you agree about having it mostly half retail and half memorial? That's pretty much a different debate for another time. I don't particularly have a problem with it for the simple fact is I knew that eventually that's going to be pretty much the way it was when the towers first got there. Mostly retailing, mostly corporations running there. They're not going to just build a building and not have nothing there. That's not possible. So, but there are people who wish that they didn't do that. There are people who wish they had just a park there for memories of the people who have passed away. But I think for the stuff they did, the memorial that they had put up there, I think was a good way to pay tribute to those who lost their lives. A lot of people did lost their lives. A lot of firemen, policemen have lost their lives. A lot of civilians have lost their lives there. So I think they did a good job with what they have done. So I really have no complaints. But I'll leave the link below so you guys can check it out yourself. And let's move on to the third story, which happens to be Politico. I already talked about Obama, but that was more of a rant. This is something more towards the Tea Party and businesses. And from what I've been reading lately, especially after what happened with this ridiculous government shutdown, businesses are starting to turn their back on the Tea Party. Big time. There's a video, courtesy of CNBC, and also we'll leave an article here. But it's pretty much solidifying what a lot of people have been saying from both sides, conservative and liberal news radios, and as well as new articles, that businesses are not happy at all with the Tea Party. They're not thrilled with them. They're not feeling them, and they are pretty much making moves, especially with the midterm elections, to weed out the Tea Party as much as they possibly can. I'm going to read the article here, but there's also a video that I will leave a link to. This article and the video. You can actually look at both, and you guys can come up with your own conclusion. But it basically says, in recent elections, underline the growing tension in the political money circle. And I want you to keep that key word, the money circle. Business people are increasingly fed up with the activist wing of the Republican Party. Is a trend that will have broad implications for the next year's main midterm elections and the presidential race in 2016, political experts have said. In Alabama on November the 5th, Republican Brady Baines beat Tea Party favorite Dean Young for the U.S. House seat in part because of the business community rallying around him. In Virginia, Democratic Terry McHallen busted Tea Party's back Republican Ken Silicali, which was a very big deal in the political media, partially because some conservative business donors wouldn't give to the GOP campaigns or even switch sides for that matter. And New Jersey moderate Republican Chris Christie crushed Tea Party candidate Seth Grisham in the primaries, and then Democratic Barbara Brono in the general election because of the strong business support. I'm going to stop there for 1 minute. Do you understand what's going on right now, how the Tea Party is losing? It ain't much of their antics. It's not much of the fact that they say ridiculous things and pass ridiculous laws in the Senate. It's the fact is that businesses did not feel that shutdown. Businesses did not like the fact that they have cost them money. All right. So don't make no mistake about it. This is a money push. No more, no less. This is what's going on across the globe. This is what's going on within different states that are generally red states. They're not happy. When you cost big corporations money, they tend to give you a response, and the response is always not good. And those first few paragraphs that I have talked about pretty much says it all. And this is the problem I have generally with these elections, is that whoever has the most dough normally wins. And right now, these Tea Partiers are feeling it because the money that they will probably got under some of these big corporations, or even small corporations for that matter, is no boundary between the money train. Is now going to either another Republicans who don't think like them, or just going to the Democratic Party in general. Am I upset about this? No, I'm not, because to me, they get exactly what they deserve, especially with the fact is that they single-handedly shut down the government under their extreme radical nonsense, led by Ted Cruz, and he's not really feeling any love within his own party. But this is the problem that has happened. I think those first three paragraphs pretty much says it, and how the Republican in general, because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people continue to say that, the Republicans is dead. They're not dead. I don't see that happening. There's still strong, respectable Republicans out there who will most likely will keep their seats in midterm election. It's the Tea Parties that is in danger of pretty much being phased out, and pretty much to the point where they don't even have a voice anymore. And those are the ones that are fighting to keep whatever power they have left within their own party. I mean, and you know what? I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for them at all. But again, just the paragraphs I said alone, it tells you just what's happening. The money train is running dry for the Tea Parties. And again, it makes me wonder, especially with the candidates I've been seeing lately, is Chris Christie going to run? And to be honest with you, I don't think he should run. I think he has to run if the Republicans ever have a slither of a chance to be on the presidential seat. He has to run. It's a must for him that he should run, because, to be honest, I don't see too many candidates. I was wondering why, a few years ago, why they kept pushing and pushing for Chris Christie to run for president. Now I see why. And despite his stuff that he's done, which I don't necessarily agree with at all, he's still a popular candidate. He's a likable candidate for the press. And he probably is the only one that can actually have a chance to have seen a Republican back in the White House. But again, we still got a few more years for that. And things could change, but I don't see it likely as long as the Tea Party is running amok. Let me just continue reading the paragraphs. It says here, it goes on, and there are more to come. Business interest appears to be rallying behind moderate Republican Brian Ellis, David Todd, and Mike Simpson against Tea Party-approved challengers Justin Amash, Kerry Ben T. Vito, whatever, and Brian Smith of Houston for the House seat in 2014. Elliott and Trott are running in Michigan, and Simpson in Idaho. So these are very important seats coming up. And you better believe the Republican doesn't want to lose those seats. They really don't want to lose those seats at all. Says here that Chris Christie wins big in the Tea Party, loses in the Virginia race. This is pretty much solidifying what's been going on. It says we're seeing a frying of a long-time allies between the business community and activists. Financially conservative Republicans, said Christopher C. Hall, and a adjunct professor in policies at Georgetown University and head of the political activist technology. Didn't know there was one existed. Both used to be aligned with on lower taxes and smaller government. Now the business community isn't so sure anymore. More and more of the business community depends on government contracts, regulations, and tax policies to keep them in business. You really think? Hall added, they need allies who wins, not ideological pure candidates who loses. The Virginia race is a prime example of that battle. I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. There are other stuff that is being said here, but I want to keep it as short as possible. There's a few more paragraphs, but I think that's where you got to look at. And I think they now realize, hey, yo, these guys are nuts, and they're not helping us at all. They're hurting us. Keep in mind, if you think the government shutdown just did hurt the governments in terms of the federal budget and everything else, it hurted everybody. Big business, small business, those who work on the federal level, those who worked on the independent level. Everybody have suffered under this stupid government shutdown that some Tea Party says wasn't that bad. When you lose billions of dollars of tax money and revenue, it's bad. And these governments are not feeling it. They are not feeling it at all. Businesses are not feeling it at all. And right now, the only way I can see Tea Party actually being relevant in any kind of political race if they actually go doing about face and change the way they've been dealing business in politics. They really have to, because right now they are now in the verge of being wiped out in next election, not just by Democrats, but by Republican candidates who are more business minded. And honestly, with the way Ted Cruz has been acting, I don't see that happening. And you know what? If it means Ted Cruz be gone and one with all the Tea Party that follows his shoes, so be it. Because to be fair, we can talk about Obama all we want, Obama this, Obama that. Here's my question. These guys have been in office for how many years, and what have they done to make anybody's lives better? Anyone's. Nothing. Nothing. It's been nothing more than a circus. And to me, you can't have representatives like that. They're supposed to represent the country, supposed to represent the people, and they have not done that one thing about it. That's just my opinion, of course. You guys can disagree. Let's get on to one more news here. One more, and I'm done for the rest of the day. It's a very unique story, a very happy story that I want to report. A very sad story as well, but it's still a very happy ending. This story was done by Newser. This is a story that was printed about 22 hours ago, but it's a story that I think was worth talking about. And it says here, for 30 years, Kafri Ahmad has been looking for her son, David, who went missing as a child for that same amount of time. David has believed that the same mother declared discarded him. That misconception was presented no longer, as NBC7 reports. David was abducted as a child by his father, who took him to Mexico, where he was raised by his grandparents. David, who speaks no English, knew all his life he was born in America, but wasn't aware of the truth of how he came to live in the country, as Kathy explained to WEAL. One day, my ex-husband came to my sister's. She was watching him and picked him up and never returned him. When I didn't hear from him, I knew he took him to Mexico. That truth surfaced after Dave tried to cross into the U.S. on October 30th. He had no papers and was detained in San Diego for 2 days, all the while insisting he was an American with his birth certificate issued in Chicago in 1976. Ultimately proved that led to a phone call from Kathy, who was told that someone named Dave Amia, who she was told a decade ago she couldn't report missing since he was in Mexico had been stopped by the Border Patrol. Soon after, she confirmed that it was her son. A San Diego ministry is raising money to facilitate a trip for Dave to Chaco, Chesapeake Fall, I believe, Wisconsin, to see his mother, hopefully by Thanksgiving. Though the two speak no common language, they have communicated by phone. In similar news, a nine years later, uh, missing Wisconsin girl has been found in Mexico. So that's the story there. Very good, happy news, sad news. Sad that the family, so her own family members abducted them and took them to another country. Uh, Thankfully, um, they were able to reunite after 30 years. 30 long years. I can't phantom that. I really can't. Uh, and I couldn't even phantom that the police couldn't do anything about it. I don't know if that's because there is some border policy that was happening between the two, but 30 years of them being apart. That is man, oh man, oh man. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to move on if I was in that shoes. But I'm hopeful. Hopefully, before Thanksgiving, they can actually see each other face to face. I know that will probably be an emotional scene for both of them. And the fact that the kid he knew that he wasn't from Mexico. He knew he was born and raised it was born actually in New York, and was pretty much taken. It's wow. Just wow. I can't really have much to say on this situation except I hope things work out well. Those are 30 years lost you can't get back. Hopefully they can start fresh from the moment they was talking to each other to the moment they will see each other. And I'm hoping they do. I hope that they do raise enough money to see each other. The only thing that doesn't say in this article is the father's side of the story. You got to believe that he has some things to answer to why he took the boy. Obviously, there was a bit of custody fight, and he didn't want to give her up. That's always been sometimes the case with these situations, where especially when it's Spanish land, they decided rather than just let them stay with the mother or have share custody, they take them back to the native land to raise. There were stories about a daughter who was not only kept away from the mother, but pretty much they did everything they power to make sure there was no contact between them, to the point where they were even taking their mail, destroying the mail, and preventing them to make phone calls. And it ended up, they slipped up one time, and they were able to maintain contact with each other. I don't know what happened between them. From what I understand, there was nothing but bitterness from the girl that they actually kept her away from her biological mother, and that bitterness pretty much. It's something that that's hard to actually recover or even make amends to. I don't know why people do this. I really don't. Other than the fact it's a selfish situation. But the important thing is that they're both going to be together. At least you hope they're going to be together. And you can't ask for a better Thanksgiving or a better Christmas present than seeing someone that you love after 30 years of not having any contact or knowing if that person was alive. I'll leave a link below so you guys can take a look at it. I'll leave a link to all the videos that I have talked about, all the articles that I've talked about. And until then, guys, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.